Thank you. Mrs. Gomes, 2 minutes.
When we talk about, indeed, human rights and the rule of law being the basis of our action, and also our action towards third countries, and namely through the agreements that we have negotiated, that we are negotiating with Azerbaijan, it's not rhetoric. It's up to people like you, Commissioner Malmström, like Federica Mogherini, to indeed deliver. Make sure it happens. And it's not just perfunctory. And the case of Azerbaijan is a scandal, what has been going on. And as the case of Mehman Huseynov demonstrates, but we could mention many other activists like Khadija Ismailova, like Ilgar Mammadov, like Afgan Mukhtarli, who was kidnapped in Georgia, brought to Azerbaijan to be tortured in jail. And all this, and why? Because these people, these brave people, dare to expose the corruption in which is biased this regime of Aliyev. It's really horrendous that despite all these principles, then the people who are negotiating and who are proposing to this parliament to give the consent, in fact, they do the opposite. It's a shame. We expect you to deliver on these principles and indeed make a sound evaluation of what is the situation. And the situation is what has been described by my colleagues who earlier spoke. And in the case of Mehman Huseynov, it shows the level of endurance, of pressure and of torture that these people are being subjected. This week, one of our colleagues, Norika Nicolai, spread through all of us a letter that eventually he wrote. He was obviously forced to write, because if you read this letter, it reminds me of the letters that people under the dictatorship in my country under Salazar and people in our country under Ceausescu would write under duress to pretend that everything is all right, to try to prevent us from adopting the resolution that we are going to adopt today. And what is even more outrageous, as it was mentioned by my colleague Miguel Urban Crespo, is indeed the corruption that is being fermenting inside the European Union. As the case, the Landromat Azerbaijan demonstrates, with politicians, even in this parliament, as we saw in 2013, in the elections in Azerbaijan, really bought by this regime. We cannot allow it to go on. It's not just about Azerbaijan. It's not about supporting those who fight against corruption and for human rights and the rule of law in Azerbaijan. It's about the EU.
Mrs. Zhovko-Zheliana.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, at the beginning I would like to thank colleagues for the consultations they had with, in the case of Mehman